Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. How are you this morning? Good, Alhamdulillah, inshallah. Well, I would like to welcome all of you to our third episode of Berbual Mak-Mak SaturDATE with ARIF. Today is another exciting topic to talk about, which is family planning. What does Islam say about it? Okay, so inshallah, I would like to also thank you, Dr. Fairuz, our consultant from the Department of Obstetric and Gynecology of KK Women and Children Hospital. How are you, doctor, this morning? Are you okay?
I'm okay, thank you, Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum to everyone. Thanks for being here on this precious Saturday morning. I hope to share as much as I know about the issues about family planning and contraception. And don't feel shy. Feel free to ask any questions to either myself, Ustaz, or even Dr. Ashraf. Dr. Ashraf is our resident from KK Department of ONG, and we're happy to share, inshallah.
Thank you, Doctor. So we also have with us today, mashallah, Ustaz Muhammad Ma'az Salim. He is the Imam Executive of Al-Istighfar Mosque and also a Naib Qadi at ROMM. Apa khabar, Ustaz?
Oh, baik, thank you. And Alhamdulillah, good morning everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful to have you all here in the mosque, and Alhamdulillah, this is very exciting. I'm really looking forward for this session because during my time when I was just got married and then waiting for my wife's delivery, we don't have such talk. So it's very you are very fortunate and lucky to have this kind of talk, and for you to be well prepared to receive babies, and subsequently for you to plan your children and plan well, inshallah. So I guess this is the objective. We want to share our experience and knowledge, of course, from Honorable Dr. Fairuz, inshallah.
Inshallah, mashallah, shukran Ustaz. And also, like Dr. Fairuz mentioned, I would also like to welcome another doctor in the house, Dr. Ashraf. He is also from the division of obstetric and gynecology of KK Women's and Children Hospital. Welcome, doctor. Thank you for being here today. Okay, so before we go on to our topic today, for those who have any question, you may scan the QR code here. All right, inshallah, today we are going to allow you to ask online. So if you have anything, just ask away. We will try our best to answer all questions, inshallah. Okay, if time permits lah. Okay, so as usual, before we start the talk, before I ask questions to our wonderful doctor and Ustaz, inshallah, I'm going to let you watch this short clip of the drama of today's episode. Okay? Are you ready?
Look,
inshallah.
Oh, cute,
so cute, yeah.
Handsome like me,
Surely.
Why not we add one more?
One more? No. You may not remember, but up until now, I can still remember the pain, the labor.
But children are a gift from Allah.
I know. I am grateful, but we can plan what? There's a thing called family planning, you know.
Astaghfirullahaladzim. Family planning is not allowed in Islam. It's haram.
Haram? You say haram or Islam say haram?
Look. Our son.
Oh,
cute,
so cute.
Haram or not, I will let Ustaz answer that question later part. Okay, so yeah, actually, doctor, I also shared the same exact feeling with the wife. Like at this age, I mean not so old, I'm still young. At this age, I mean like we are satisfied by looking at other people's babies, not our babies anymore. I mean, like the joy of looking at this small being, right? So, okay, but the question here is, I mean, like as our community, I mean, like there's still dispute in our community whereby they say that children is rezeki from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. So it's a rezeki that we can't deny, and we have to be responsible towards it. So can I ask you, Ustaz? I mean, like, can you share with us here today what is the definition of rezeki? Tafadhal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, my colleague Ustazah Shikin. We begin with talking about risk, the concept of risk. So we seldomly hear that rezeki dari Allah and then rezeki anak. Okay, so when we have children, surely the rezeki must ada accompany with our children lah. come after that. So what is the concept of risk in general, and what is the meaning of risk of children that we really want to understand, so that we can, after we have knowledge, we can plan better, and with the real affirmation and with discussion with our partner, then we have a strong will and objective for us to plan better. So as we know, okay, I have slides here. Yeah, how do we understand the meaning of risk of children from Islamic point of view? Firstly, to begin with, in Surah Hud, ayat 6, whereby Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala says, "Wa ma min dabbatin fil ardi illa 'ala Allahi rizquha." Okay, so Allah says there is no moving creature on earth, whether it is a human being, animal, or whatever or whoever Allah creates. Surely whose provision is not guaranteed by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. So surely the provision or the risk will be sustained by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. That is a very basic thing, the fundamental. And we as a believer, as a Muslim believer, we need to believe this. Put trust in Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Okay, that is number one. It's very important. Rizki must come from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, not from others. One door closed, kita selalu dengar, one door closed, the other doors will be open, insyaAllah. Don't worry, and we need to make an effort to find this risk, right? So that is very basic important thing that we need to know. And secondly, what is risk? Risk actually is not just confined to finance, not just confined to material or whatever possession that we have. So risk, if you want to understand, whatever we possess, whatever we gain benefit from, that is risk. So the risk of having this kind of talk is a risk. As I said earlier, because during my time, I don't have this kind of talk. So mencaca time first, my wife first delivery, kan, waktu tu subuh. 5 minutes before subuh, my wife already felt pain. Dia ada contraction, they call it. Dia ada contraction lah. So as a good husband, yang haven't read up properly about this marriage. So as an ustaz, so relax, sabar. 10 minutes lagi nak subuh, kasihlah kita subuh dulu. Then this is the first time I kena marah habis lah. Isteri, ustaz tak ustaz? Cepatlah, macam itulah. Kena pekik. Cepatlah keluar. Okay, terus keluar. Baru tahu. Then I went to KKH lah. Alhamdulillah, because in the morning, the transportation, dia punya traffic semua okay. So from that onwards, and then after second and third child, I did a lot of read up lah about pregnancy thing, about postnatal, postpartum, and so forth. So that is risk. This is risk for you to gain knowledge and for you to be prepared well. And again, risk is something got to do with our health. Risk got something to do with our brain, the ability to think, to find solution, to find money, because we always think, money, risk ni confined to money. So if my financial being suppressed, kalau ada difficulties, then suddenly our otak brain jam. No, we cannot think of that. Maybe Allah give the other part of rezeki, which Allah enhance your brain to think creatively, to find more money and to work for it. Like for example, a hadith by Imam Tirmidhi, as you can see in the slide. If you were to rely, Rasulullah says, if you were to rely with Allah with the reliance He is due, meaning with full conviction that He is the one who sustain you, you would be given provision like the birds. So bird pun tawakal, and bird also usaha. It goes forth hungry in the morning. Maknanya bird tak stay kat nest, mak dia tak relax in the morning, and returns with full belly at dusk. So this is not something yang magic. Really doa, tawakal, and Allah will give you sustenance. No, even the birds, they go out and they make sure that when they come back, they have enough food for their children. So that is the concept of risk. Even though we know that it is from Allah, but we must find and we must search for it. So in answering to the second question of how about the risk of children, Ustaz? Rezeki anak, rezeki dan sebagainya. So when we say that anak must have rezeki, so you just buat je lah anak. 10, 11 macam orang dulu kan. 11, 12. My parents 11. Then the other side, my father 7. So now seldom lah, jarang kita dengar orang dah more than 5, 7 ada kan. But we need to understand this lah. We need to understand this better. So when we understand this verse from Surah Al-Isra, do not kill your children. Yeah, Allah says, do not kill your children for fear of poverty. We provide for them and for you. We provide, we give rizki for you and for the parents and for the children. Surely killing them is a heinous sin. So it has context and background. The historical background of this verse is that during the Jahiliyah or the pre-Islamic period, during Jahiliyah period, they did killing their children for fear of poverty. And we can see also lah the other traditions, not from coming from our tradition, when they have like for example, when they have children and they give away because they really scared lah, because I cannot maintain my children well lah, so they give up. They give up. Tapi alhamdulillah, a lot of Malays lah back then, kampung-kampung, dia tak give up. Our parents can jaga 10 children and raise us well, alhamdulillah, because maybe number one, they have strong urge and they have orang kata tu belief, and secondly, they work hard. They don't just stay dalam kampung. They work hard, so that's why their children can can live well. Right. So when you have children, okay, from this context, when you have children, you cannot just give up on your life. But before having children, you can plan. So with due planning, due diligence, calculations, especially from the financial part, is totally okay, because later on we will touch on the family planning part lah. Then we need to understand, when we are blessed with children, we need to believe that there are rizki, and we need to search and keep continuing find job lah, hustle 2-3 jobs just because of to maintain us, family and the children. So basically this is just an introduction. Hopefully everyone understand, because from experience also, not from my experience, but experience from observing people around me, for example my teachers, even though they have a lot of children lah, a lot of children, but the parents really work hard lah. Some of the asatiza, some of my teachers who are sole breadwinner and ustaz, and you know lah, in madrasah at masjid, the gaji berapa je, but can sustain all anak-anak dia semua well educated, university graduated. We don't know why, we don't know how that ustaz do. But I think because Ustad has belief and he works continuously, tirelessly after madrasah, 9 to 5, he still have a job during the night, ajar tuition and so forth. So that's how Allah help his servants for them to live better lah, with the belief and conviction that the rizki is coming from Allah SWT with children, inshallah. So with that, I pass to you back, Sister Ustazah Shikin.
MashaAllah, shukran Ustaz. So yeah, that's about rizki lah. I believe that rizki comes in many forms, Ustaz. It's about health, it's about happiness. You are able, like what we talked about in our first episode, if you have sakinah, mawadah and rahmah in your relationship, in your family, is also a huge rizki, right, Ustaz? So, but again, I'm like each one of us, I believe that the most important thing is you don't compare yourself with your family with other families, and do not judge. That is very important. I mean, like, every one of us face different difficulties, different struggles in our life. So yeah, this is your family, so it's your family that you have to plan for, not the other way around. So when we talk about this family planning, we know that there are ways, medically there are ways to do this family planning. So maybe doctor, sorry, Ustaz, no, not Ustaz. So doctor, can you share with us, I mean, like, what is this? I'm like, how do we start off with this family planning?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very glad with the turnout today. The fact that all of you are sacrificing your beautiful Saturday morning to come here to search for knowledge, to seek knowledge. This is one way of Allah opening your rizki for you. Inshallah, you will stand benefit and you gain all this knowledge. You pass on to your family, your friends, and they will also stand to gain from what you have learned today. So I'm Dr. Fairuz. I'm from KK Women's and Children's Hospital. So I do obstetrics and gynecology. So that's doing deliveries, doing operations on women, managing menstrual issues, managing family planning. Okay, so that's what I do on a daily basis. I want to start off with a story lah. Maybe it's easiest way to start, right? So we run a family planning clinic in KK Women's and Children's Hospital, right? So women who are having an unplanned pregnancy do come to the clinic. They seek for treatment for like medical abortion or surgical abortion, so abortion basically. So I met this girl. She's maybe in her early 20s. So this was back in 2021, maybe around July. So she was there, not married, studying, I think, having an unplanned pregnancy and wanting an abortion, right? So went through the abortion. I counseled her on contraception because she obviously was in a relationship and she wasn't ready to get pregnant. And then that happened. She went through the abortion safely. Sometime in March the following year, she got pregnant again, had another abortion, and then sometime in July had another abortion as well. So that's 3 abortions in 1 year in the same girl. So I was like, so I didn't see her in March, I saw her in July, I saw her in the July the year before. I was like, it's you again. Why? Right? So abortion is obviously not the way for family planning, right? It is unplanned. It's completely unplanned. And if you are of sound mind, right, you know how to weigh pros and cons, with the good and the bad, right? Surely you understand that there are better ways to protect yourself from being pregnant than to go through abortions multiple times. Yes, it can be done safely, yes, but that doesn't mean it's good for you, right? You do it so many times, and you may not want to have children at this point in time. You may want to have children later on, but what makes you think that your body will be very, very good to, like will be okay for you to be pregnant later on, right? Allah may grant you this rezeki now, but may not do that later on. Who knows, right? So what I'm trying to say here is family planning is highly important. So this is a very clear example. So if you realize women in their reproductive age group, right? If without any use of contraception, we take every woman from the age of the late teens to maybe late 40s, right? 85 out of 100 women in a who are sexually active will get pregnant in a year, right? That's 85%, right? Without the use of any contraception. That's a very high number, right? So if all the women are not using any contraception, they're sexually active, you're going to get a lot of babies. Yes, we always hear in the news, fertility rate in the country is down, is like 1 point something, and like that's not enough for population replacement. So, I mean, I come from obstetrics, I encourage people to have children, right? So on the other hand, right, it should be a wanted pregnancy. It should be a planned pregnancy. You should have children when you feel that you're ready. So the question is, when are you ready, right? That's, I guess, a question that is very difficult to answer. It is very individualized. Every person will feel ready at different points in time in their life. Or you may never feel ready, but you feel, you cover most of your bases, like maybe financially, housing, career, education, whatever, in a stable relationship, that's when you want to have a child, then yeah, that's so be it. But not when you are completely unprepared, not working, haven't finished school, not in a relationship at all, had a fling and things happen. So that's completely avoidable. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? Why family planning? Actually, in developed countries, so Singapore is a developed country, right? Half of all pregnancies are unplanned. Okay, half, that's 50%. Right? Even in married couples, right? Oh, it's okay lah. I don't think it's the time of the month where I'm ovulating. If you have irregular menstrual cycles, right? Women, menstrual cycles can vary, right? Normal length is between 21 to 35-day cycles, but not everyone will have those kind of cycles. There are women with completely irregular cycles. Some women in 2 or 3 months, they have only 1 period, right? So they just don't know when they ovulate or when is that fertile window. So to assume that my cycles are irregular, so I don't need to use contraception, that's a misconception, right? While some of these are wanted pregnancies, so that's fine. I mean, like you maybe didn't plan for it to happen now, but you are happy to have a child, then that's fine. But if you end up in situations where it is actually not a wanted pregnancy because you are completely unprepared for it, then that becomes very, very difficult, right? You have to make very, very terrible decisions like, do I need to go for an abortion, right? So I mean, I don't want to steer the conversation towards that part. I want to discuss more about why you want to do family planning. Avoiding pregnancy, just from the woman's point of view, there are various reasons why pregnancy maybe you want to avoid at that point in time. Number one, too young, right? If you're 16 and you're pregnant, and if I ask you, did you plan for this pregnancy? The answer in my head is a clear yes, and it's a clear unplanned, right? So I'm just like, if the patient's in front of me with a parent or whatever, and like, I'm just waiting for her to say it's unplanned. But it's unplanned, right? So you just want to make them realize that, there are ways that you really should not be taking pregnancy lightly, okay? On the opposite extreme, the picture on the top left is too old, right? Let's say I'm 40. Oh, I'm 40, I'm old already, I don't need contraception. It's a misnomer. It's a misconception, right? Your fertility does not end at 40. Your fertility drops at 40 years, but it's not zero. Yeah? So if you don't intend to get pregnant at 40, then use contraception. Okay? Especially, okay, of course, if you haven't been pregnant ever, you haven't no children before, you are keen to seek treatment. Yeah, nowadays medical advancements in fertility treatment is getting better and better. So there are women in their 40s and even 45 getting pregnant and having safe pregnancies. But that's another story for another day. But plan for it, right? The middle picture, money being burnt like that, right? So clearly there's a lot of financial aspect to it, right? Ustaz shares about the story about 11 children, 7 children. That is Singapore in the 1960s, maybe. You change to 2023, have 11 children, where are you going to stay? Where are you going to stay? Right? 2 jumbo flats, right? 2 jumbo flats. Where are you going to find that place? Who's going to support that? The government's going to give it to you? Right? So just to house your children in the first place is going to be a nightmare, right? You cannot have a living room or tilam all over the floor, and like where your children sleep also you don't know. It is logistically a nightmare, right? Financially, clearly a nightmare, right? Picture on the bottom right, struggling with your job, struggling with your school, for example, right? If this is not sorted out, then comes pregnancy and unplanned pregnancy, having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 children, whatever. Are you going to be able to cope? Are you going to have to give up the job because you have to look after your children? Is that going to be a feasible solution? Picture in the middle. Ustaz talk about rezeki. Maybe this one too much rezeki, maybe, right? Getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? With each pregnancy, what happens? The woman puts on weight, right? If you don't allow a chance to break in twin pregnancies, let's say you have one pregnancy, you deliver now, before you know it, the child is still like a few months old, you are pregnant again. The pregnancy weight gain that was maybe 10, 15 kilograms in the first pregnancy, you still haven't lost it yet. You haven't started exercise because I'm tired, I'm looking after the baby, I wake up at 2, 3 a.m., breastfeed my baby, I no time to exercise. Then that weight gain continues into the second pregnancy, into the third pregnancy. Then by the third, fourth pregnancy, you've gained like 50 kilograms from the time you were. How? Your husband look at you, oh, look different, this one not my wife. How? Right? Husband leaves, no. Right? So obesity, what I'm trying to say, obesity is a problem that can be solved by proper contraception. Right? Doing contraception itself is not going to make you lose weight, but it allows you a chance to have a break between pregnancies to lose the weight. Right? Last picture is a big family, I think 8 children, looking very, very happy. Can be managed, can be done, for sure, right? That's risky, right? The hustle that you have to provide for that, I think it's beyond imagination, right? How many, maybe 3, 4 jobs, jumbo flats, 2 jumbo flats, whatever, right? It is the laundry. Can you imagine the laundry, right? How many washing machines you have at home, or I don't know, right? Maybe each child takes charge of some chore. It can become a fun thing also, I guess, but not everybody can manage such things, yeah. Especially in Singapore in 2023, right? How much does it cost to buy a HDB? Right, $500,000 maybe, right? Not everybody has that money. Okay, so I want to move on to this part. So this is an overview of contraception options, contraception methods, okay? There are reversible methods, there are irreversible methods, okay? Irreversible methods or permanent methods are meant for women, for couples who have completed having family, have enough. I have 3 children, I'm done, my factory closed, right? So you can choose the permanent methods, which is sterilization. Either the male or the female can go for sterilization. The rest of the methods are basically reversible methods. There are hormonal methods, there are non-hormonal methods. What I'm trying to say here, the majority of them are very, very, very safe, right? There are also some people who maybe shouldn't get pregnant at this point, maybe because they have medical conditions which are not yet secured. For example, I'm a diabetic. I haven't been taking my medicine. I'm supposed to take insulin, but I'm scared of injection. I don't want a doctor. Maybe next time. My sugar count's always double digits, right? My toe looks like it's going to fall off like that. Then, doctor, should I get pregnant? Answer is clearly no, lah. Right? Right? Because medically, it's unsafe for you to be pregnant. Medically, it's dangerous for you to be pregnant, dangerous for the baby if you're pregnant in an uncontrolled diabetic state. Right? So there are reasons also medically for why you might want to avoid pregnancy. Okay? Diabetes is just one simple example. Right? I want to show a video next, just to give an overview of how contraception works before we move on to the next part. Let's play the video.
Here's what has to happen for pregnancy to occur after sexual intercourse. Sperm must swim up the vagina, through the cervical opening, upwards through the uterus, and into one of the 2 fallopian tubes. If an egg, released during that month's ovulation, is in the tube, one sperm has a chance to fertilize it. Contraceptives are designed to prevent this process, and they work in 3 basic ways. They block the sperm, disable sperm before they reach the uterus, or suppress ovulation. Block is the simplest. Male and female condoms prevent sperm from coming into contact with the vaginal space. That barrier is also why they, unlike other contraceptive methods, are able to prevent transmission of certain sexually transmitted diseases. Meanwhile, the diaphragm, cervical cap, and sponge work by being placed over the cervix, barricading the entrance to the uterus. These contraceptives are sometimes called barrier methods and can be used with spermicides, an example of the second category, disable. A spermicide is a chemical that immobilizes and destroys sperm. Today's spermicides come as foam, cream, jelly, suppositories, and even a thin piece of translucent film that dissolves in the vagina. These products can be inserted directly into the vagina before intercourse, or can be combined with block methods, like a diaphragm or condom, for added protection. The third category for preventing pregnancy works by suppressing the action of an egg maturing in the ovary. If there isn't an egg available in the fallopian tube, there's nothing for sperm to fertilize. Hormonal contraceptives, including the pill, the patch, the depot shot, and the vaginal ring, all release synthetic versions of various combinations of progesterone and estrogen. This hormone cocktail suppresses ovulation, keeping the immature egg safely sequestered in the ovary. Synthetic progesterone also has a block trick up its sleeve. It makes cervical mucus too thick and sticky for sperm to swim through easily. There are other contraceptives that use multiple approaches at the same time. For example, many IUDs, or intrauterine devices, contain synthetic hormones which suppress ovulation. Some also contain copper, which disables sperm while also making egg implantation in the uterus difficult. Block, disable, or suppress. Is one strategy better than the other? There are differences, but a lot of it has to do with how convenient and easy it is to use each contraceptive correctly. For example, male condoms would be about 98% effective if everyone used them perfectly. That 98% means, if 100 couples correctly used condoms for a year, 2 women would get pregnant. But not everyone uses them correctly, so they're only 82% effective in practice. Other methods, like the patch and pill, are 99% effective when they're used perfectly. But in practice, that's 91%. Spermicide is only 85% effective, even with perfect usage, and just 71% effective with typical usage. Another important consideration in the choice of contraceptives are side effects, which almost exclusively affect women rather than men. Hormonal methods in particular can cause symptoms like headaches, nausea, and high blood pressure, but they vary from woman to woman. That's why these methods require a prescription from a doctor. The choice of contraceptive method is a personal one, and what works best for you now may change later. Scientists also continue to research new methods, such as a male pill that would prevent sperm production. In the meantime, there are quite a few options to block sperm, disable them, or suppress eggs and keep them out of reach.
Exception. Okay? It has to be individualized, right? What works best for you at this point in time may change as your body changes or you develop some other medical issues. Number two, be responsible for your own contraception. A lot of the contraception are centered or focused on the woman. Okay? Maybe because men are a bit unreliable or what, I don't know lah, right? They are developing pills for men, but so far in current practice, only the condoms, yeah, basically are the ones that are addressed or like centered on the men. But women must realize, right? If you only rely on that and you don't rely on something else, the one who get pregnant is you lah, not the man, right? So if you want to be in control, right, there are options out there and we are here to discuss lah, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just want to ask, I mean, all this contraceptive, right? Is it like, it's not 100%, right?
Nothing is 100%.
Nothing is 100%. So if the little one like really fight their way in, so the chances of pregnancy is there lah.
So you have to choose a method that is effective, right? So the effectiveness or the efficacy, right, is generally quite high, more than 90% for most options, right? This is also where effort and tawakkul comes in, right? If you don't even use any method, you remember, right? 85 out of 100 women do get pregnant in a year without any contraception. So although there are no perfect contraception, there are effective contraception. All right. So it's about choosing the ones that suits you the best.
Yeah, so that is what we call rezeki. After trying also, I mean like, yeah, but at least there's efforts now, doctor. Okay, so yeah, so mostly I'm like also already shared the concept of rezeki in the beginning of this talk. So now is the part that we want to know. I mean like doctor already shared with us the permanent, the I mean like what they call the reversible and irreversible types of contraception. So what does Islam really says about this matter? I mean, what are the rulings? And also there's one question asked, I mean like financial issues are unpredictable. So how do we know when can we actually undergo these procedures to prevent further pregnancies? So Ustaz can share on the rulings on this. Shukran.
Okay, thank you very much. Here comes another topic is very important, whereby we are talking about family planning in Islam. So from Islamic perspective, we have seen the presentation from Dr. Fairuz about the contraceptive methods that available here in Singapore or in the world, the current practices. And how about the Islam, from the Islamic point of view? There are ethical consideration too, and there are hukum or the legal ruling for the family planning. So to begin with, historically speaking, this was discussed back then during the 70s or late 60s, if I'm not mistaken. Globally, Muslim scholars around the globe, they gathered a lot of time to discuss about the hukum or the ruling on family planning, and it has varied or various of opinion, because it really must in line with the scientific development, the medical advancement. So you will see, if you just do a very simple Google, you'll see a lot of opinions. So I'm sharing the history behind it is because scholars have different take because they need to wait the scientific development and whatever progression that have from the medical field, then the fatwa, the religious side, the jurists can discuss and the opinion may change. But from for the family planning, MUIS, our own fatwa lah, our own Majlis Ulama Islam Singapore, the Fatwa Committee of Singapore, they have issued two fatwa so far. One was during 1968 and another one is 78. So 10 years apart. And until now, they don't have new fatwa because they just based on that. Whereas we begin with the during Prophet's time. So is family planning legitimate in Islam? Legitimate. Can we do family planning? Based on the hadith I put up in the slide by Bukhari. So Prophet Sahabah, the companion said, we used to practice coitus interruptus during the time of the Messenger of Allah when the Quran was being revealed. Who knows what is coitus interruptus? Maybe you can ask the husband. Maybe dia segan lah, malu. Apa? Yeah, correct. Pancut luar. So have been used before, way before our time, during Prophet's time, meaning 1400 years ago. And it was not exclusively in the Islamic tradition, in the Roman tradition, Christian tradition, the Persian tradition. It was practiced back then. And yeah, because it was practiced by the Romans and some of the companions also practiced that. And when the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he discovered or he was informed that some of the companions also practiced that, the Prophet didn't prevent, didn't say, oh, it is haram, please stop. The Prophet ﷺ just keep quiet. If the Prophet ﷺ keep quiet, meaning one of the sunnah punya signs when he approve, when he keep quiet or silent, meaning he approves the practice. Nor he promote or he discourage. He just keep quiet because he knows every family is unique, every couple is unique, and they have their own needs. It's up to you. So in general term, yalah dulu don't have any form of tubal ligation, tak ada IUD kan, tak ada any procedure. So they just practice the very simple one, tak payah pakai course pun lah, which is coitus interruptus. So having said that, it is something legal in Islam. Right. So classical scholars like Imam Al-Ghazali in Ihya Ulumuddin also discuss this matter. So according to Imam Al-Ghazali, abortion is totally prohibited even during the early stages of pregnancy, for it is the basis of human's life. Again, when we talk about abortion, also it has development in fatwa. Last time, the classical scholars say you can do abortion even without having valid reason, but after 120 days or after 4 months, because they believe the human life begins at after 120 days. But then after that, the development, after that, with the development of the branches of knowledge in science or medical field, especially, so neurological point of view different, ecological point of view different, when the life begins. So some of the experts say, life only begins during conception. During the moment the sterilization of egg and the sperm, that begins life. Jadi Muslim scholars pun pening, bila life begins ni? Life begins ni when apa, fetus tu, embryo dia dah at which stage. So that's why from what I read, the current one, they say, abortion is totally haram even from the beginning, early pregnancies until 9 months or 40 weeks pun cannot do abortion unless with valid reasons which accepted by the Shari'i. Okay, so Imam Ghazali says, however, he states that it is permissible to practice coitus interruptus, okay, pancut luar, if there are permissible reasons for it, which includes the factors of economy. So Imam Ghazali acknowledged there are financial difficulties for families. The economy, that is something, can use that as a point of, as a basis, meaning that is legitly we can do that. Wife's health and to maintain wife's beauty, to ensure prolonged love and care between the couple, as doctor said, put on weight. But sadly, husband tak pregnant pun pregnant juga because they eat a lot. Jadi jangan fikir isteri je yang put on weight. Actually husband pun lagi problematic lah, like myself. So yeah, if that is the reason yang the wife or the husband or both of them they concerned about their weight, about their health, something yang Islam allow for you to plan, for you to have family planning. Lagi, okay. He also states a sinful and unacceptable reason for family planning, which is the fear of getting a daughter. Refer Ihya Ulumuddin. Okay. And second fatwa, during 1997, Sheikh Atiyah Sakar was one of the Egyptian scholar. Okay. We call it Azhar punya scholar lah, Sheikh Azhar. Darul Ifta Al-Misriyah, answering the question on sterilization for family planning due to health reasons or others for a certain duration. It is permissible on the condition that the reproductive ability is undamaged and he or she can reproduce again after a set duration. Thus, if the sterilization is absolute and permanent, then it is prohibited. Unless there is a desperate and serious danger or threat towards his or her life. Fatwa Darul Ifta Al-Misriyah. Okay? Okay, we go to our local fatwa. Fatwa decision by Fatwa Committee. This is the latest one, 17 June 1987, and it is still used and established this as our point of reference. Okay, so the text, okay, I just cut, and this is the conclusion lah. From these statements, whatever the arguments they put forth in the book, we can deduce that Islam prioritizes quality over quantity. So you know, ada 10 anak ke 11, that is not show you are good. You have a good family or happy family, but we want quality of umat Prophet Muhammad SAW. Muslims just believe that family planning practices such as the consumption of pills or other forms of contraceptives are temporarily permissible as long as these methods do not harm the health of the user. Contraceptives should not render the person barren but allow the person to plan his family with care and order. So, what are some of the reasons that Islam allow us to do family planning? Number one, financial reason. Yes, you can. And number two, if you watch just now the traumatic experience from the wife, nak kena beranak lagi. Some of the wife they are traumatic. So kalau you nak every year beranak, they are very traumatic, kesian. Then they have to go through a lot, 9 months while the husband go play futsal. Well, the wife is mengandung, pregnant, you know, a lot of changes lah in the body, the hormone changes and whatever kan. But the husband still want anak. So if your wife say no, you have to respect that. That is a commitment, marriage commitment. Come on, this is marriage commitment. And there is a narration in the hadith narrated by Ibn Majah. Rasulullah says, no husband can, you know, make family planning lah. Dia punya exact word dia I'm not remember, but something in the line of Rasulullah says you cannot impregnate your wife without her consent. Must have consent. You cannot forcefully paksa. Kalau tak, in Singapore we have marital rape kan. Ada marital tapi dah kahwin tapi rape. So yeah, Rasulullah said you cannot impregnate your wife unless she gave permission. So meaning that we have to have mutual understanding, mutual agreement, whether we want children or don't want children. And then the next question always like this. Sometimes I receive a question from couple, Ustaz, jadi nak dengar cakap siapa? Suami kan is the ketua keluarga. Ketua keluarga lah dengar cakap isteri. A good husband must listen to his wife. A happy family is a happy wife, happy family. We don't hear happy family, happy husband, happy family. No, happy wife, happy family. So as long as your wife is happy, yeah, a good husband must have good empathy. So when your wife says, tak apalah, relax dulu lah, kita do spacing lah because I just pregnant kan last year, so I want 2 years. Okay, husband dengar lah cakap isteri. But doesn't mean that you just okay lah, we take a break, we don't do any sexual intercourse. That is also wrong. Just that don't impregnate your wife while she is in the breastfeeding period for 2 years. And it's something acknowledged by our by Allah SWT in the Quran, wal walidatu yurdi'na auladahunna hawlaini kamilain. So the babies the best period that they the breastfeeding period lah, the ideal time is the timeline is 2 years. So for the well-being of the mother and for the well-being of the baby. If we see our friends kan macam pregnant every year, mak dulu every year pregnant, every hari raya pregnant and nursing, asal hari raya pregnant, asal hari raya pregnant kan, asal pregnant hari raya. So maybe diorang tak ternilah, tak baca Quran ke apa kan, it's okay lah, they are forgiven. Tapi the struggle, the kind of pain yang the wife really go through is very very hard lah. Then it is makruh, even the scholars say, to impregnate your wife while in the breastfeeding period. So this is to give time and spacing for your wife and for the baby. Okay, that is the second reason. The third reason, medical or health reason lah. If the husband or the wife cannot get pregnant, if not, she will have some complications, and that is also something really serious. Then we can take that into decision. Even that particular wife can take irreversible contraceptives, but with that reason only lah. If not, you have to take the temporary, not the permanent one. So in general, what I read is about you can do family planning with reasons, and secondly, not permanent, so reversible, not that irreversible ones. So inshallah, doctor will share more about the contraceptive methods, which is the reversible one, inshallah. So with that, I end my session, inshallah. Sekian. Assalamualaikum.
Mashallah, thank you so much, Ustaz. So, I believe that if, let's say, the husbands or the father did together, on nurturing the children, they will know how the struggles of bringing up these children. As my husband, I'm so lucky to have my husband as my husband, because I can see that 80% he is the one who did it, and he is the one who okay, we stop at 3. We stop. He's too tired already. So this decision you have to decide together, not only one individual, because marriage is all about two individuals. Okay, so talking about using this contraception and all. So there's question about they want to ask Dr. Laif, when is the right time for the couples, be it the wife or the husband, to check on their sexual health? I'm like, do they have to do this before marriage or after pregnancy, after giving birth? So when is the right time?
I think to touch on our moderator and Ustaz's point, in terms of finding the right time when you want to start checking, I don't think there's a perfect answer to that lah, right? If you're already thinking about it, go and get yourself checked. Okay, that's the simplest answer. I like to bring up Ustaz's point about breastfeeding as well. Some couples have a belief that, oh, I'm breastfeeding my child fully. Breastfeeding is a natural form of contraception. I will not get pregnant. The longer you are from the time of your delivery, even though you're exclusively breastfeeding, sometimes menses have already returned. Okay? If it's really like 3-4 months, you're still exclusive breastfeeding. If menses have already returned, chances are you may start to ovulate again. Okay? If you don't use additional contraception and you are resuming sexual intercourse at that point in time, you still can get pregnant. So do not assume that just by breastfeeding alone, you will not get pregnant. Okay, that's number one. Number two, having 3, 4, 5 children, right? Ustaz talk about getting consent, right? To have a child, you cannot just suka-suka, impregnate the wife, or, she pregnant, not I pregnant, right? Don't assume that you've had 3 children, the fourth child, the delivery will be just as smooth as all the first 3 deliveries. Pregnancy can be highly unpredictable. You may have had 4 or 5 normal deliveries. The more, the higher the number of parity. Parity means the number of children you have. the uterus, the womb, in terms of contraction after the delivery, sometimes may be a bit more difficult. It may lose its contractile action because of poor tone as a result of having multiple previous deliveries. And that can result in severe bleeding, what we call PPH, postpartum hemorrhage. And some women bleed so much that they have to have blood transfusion. They have to have emergency surgery. Some women even go to the extent where their blood pressure just dropping so badly, they end up having emergency surgery to remove the womb. Because if not, they will just bleed to death. Okay? So what I'm trying to say here is, right, do not just assume, right? Just because 3, 4, 5 normal deliveries have happened, the next one is just going to be as simple and uneventful as the previous. Do not assume. Okay? I have here a list of a chart, actually. It's one of my favorite websites. It's called SexWise. Okay? It's very easy to remember. Just type this on Google. It's a very nice interactive website, especially for couples out there. It allows you to compare and contrast your options of contraception side by side. You see which one works in terms of like pros and cons. Okay, so you just type this on Google. Actually, you can get a copy of my slides later, and if you click this table, you can get a nice blow up on your own phones or laptop, and you can explore at home, right? So remember we talked about hormonal and non-hormonal contraceptions, right? So the non-hormonal contraceptions, there are 2, condoms and the IUD. Okay, I would like to draw your attention to actually the table out there. We have some demo models here, and for those of you who have never seen an IUD, who've never seen an implant, who've never seen a condom, a patch, have some time. You can play around the models, or we can get Dr. Ashraf to demonstrate to you later as well, and how these things feel, how it looks like, and how we insert it anyway. And I'll show you some videos later as well. So. These are the only 2 non-hormonal methods that we have. Am I right? Right? Yeah. They are absolutely safe. The condoms are the ones that you don't need a prescription for, right? You can just get it off the shelves, right? Choose your flavors or whatever, right? The IUD, there are 2 types of IUD. Okay, the copper IUD and the hormonal IUD. IUD stands for intrauterine device. Intrauterine means in the womb, so it's inserted into the womb. Yeah. When can it be inserted? Okay, typically we want, let's say after pregnancy, right? You've delivered already. We want the womb to go back to its normal size first, right? So we don't insert it right after birth. You can insert it right after birth, but that requires some special devices which we don't have at the moment in time. It's available overseas, but not in Singapore, or not in our hospital right now. We tend to let the womb contract back to its normal size. You come back to clinic about 2 months to 3 months after delivery, and then we insert it for you. The insertion can be done in the clinic. You don't have to go through a surgery to insert the IUD. If you've had a previous cesarean section, you can also use the IUD. It's okay, right? You need somebody who's experienced to insert it for you, right? Not just somebody who's never done it before, and then you ask this doctor, insert an IUD for me. And the doctor, like, the last time I inserted this was 4 years ago, then maybe don't, right? So come and see us, right? The IUD itself is very, very safe. The non-hormonal one, the copper IUD, if you have normal regular periods, right, and the IUD is very, very safe for you. If you tend to have very heavy periods, like heavy menstrual flow, then I would suggest use the hormonal IUD, because it not only works as a contraceptive, it helps to reduce heavy menstrual bleeding. Okay, so it works. It serves more than just contraceptive purpose. In fact, the hormonal IUD, what we call Mirena, right? In Singapore we use Mirena. It is given as one of the main treatments for women with heavy menstrual bleeding. Yeah, so it is very, very useful in that sense. Okay, you don't want to keep having heavy menses, have to be admitted for blood transfusion because your womb has got, lots of clots during menses. You must also use something to help you. Okay, pills, right? So pills are something that, when you talk about contraceptives, people talk pills, right? There are many, many different brands out there. There are many, many different versions out there. Most of them will contain combined estrogen and progesterone, right? The main difficulty I feel about pills is that you have to be diligent to use it, right? It's a daily pill, right? You have to devise a way such that you remember to take the pill, right? For example, you put it next to your toothbrush, right? Every morning you wake up, usually, wudu, sembayang, solat, subuh, maybe after you mandi or before you mandi, surely you brush your teeth. I mean, right? It's like a second nature, like you brush your teeth. Maybe you put it right next to your toothbrush, right? After you brush your teeth, take your pill every day, right? So you have to devise ways that you will not forget, okay? The problem is women who use the pills, and sometimes they feel like, oh, maybe I skip 1 day, 2 days. If you are sexually active and you're using the pills and you keep missing your pills, then that's why the typical usage rate is not going to be 99%, right? It's going to drop because typically women sometimes forget. The users sometimes forget, right? So that's one difficulty. People talk about the hormonal side effects. What are they? Like feeling like headaches, feeling bloated, feeling maybe your mood change, like a bit depressed. Usually, so the modern day pills that we have, the doses are very, very low, very standard doses. The side effects that you hear other people feel may not necessarily be what you feel. Okay, it's worth a try if this is something you wish to use, because it's easy. You just need to swallow a small pill every day. It's not something that, oh, something put inside my womb, I'm not ready for that. So it's simple, right? You can stop it anytime you want, okay? But you need to get a prescription, right? You cannot just buy it off the shelf. I think now there might be online, I don't know, Instagram thing, whatever, you order pills online. I think there are doctors who are managing that. But if you're unsure and I would suggest speaking to a doctor physically first and then getting assessed, right? It is suitable for most women, the pills, except for obviously a few medical conditions which maybe make you unsuitable. For example, you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, okay? Or you have some kidney conditions like lupus, then the pills may be more harmful to you than you might better off choosing something else, non-hormonal, for example, okay? What else do I have here? Patch, right? The patch is there. So it's called Evra, right? The brand's called Evra. So the patch contents is similar to the pill. You paste it on your skin. It's very easily hidden underneath the clothes. You just need to change the patch once a week. So it's a bit more convenient, right? You can go swimming with the patch. You can go showering with the patch. It's not a problem. Change once a week. To week 1, patch 1. Week 2, patch 2. Week 3, patch 3. Week 4, no patch. Week 4, menses. Then week 5, patch 5, so on and so forth. So you get regular menses, and you get contraception as well, okay? So it's very, very safe. Next slide. So these are much more effective contraceptive. I'm sorry for the pictures being a bit small, but you go look at it on your own phones if you want. This will require a doctor to insert for you, okay? So just to briefly say, simply, the ones that is unique is the injection. Okay, the Depo-Provera injection. So the injection is taken once every 3 months. That's the effectiveness. You can get it at most of the polyclinics around in Singapore, right? It suppresses ovulation. The unique thing about this is if you are thinking about spacing, like what Ustaz was saying, spacing between 2 pregnancies, is there an ideal time between pregnancy, right? The question. So medically, there is, right? Islam says 2 years, right? Fantastic. And medically, we're not that far away. We say 1 to 1.5 years, right? That allows your body to recover, to lose the excess weight gain in pregnancy, to do breastfeeding. WHO recommends 6 months, so Islam says 2 years. So Islam is even better than WHO. For you to do breastfeeding, to let the child grow a bit bigger, easier to handle before you embark on your next pregnancy. So if you get pregnant so closely from your first pregnancy, less than a year gap between the first and the second pregnancy, what's going to happen? There could be a risk of things like preterm birth in the second pregnancy. There could be a risk of growth restriction in the second pregnancy. So ideally, you want your birth to go on smoothly, right? So you don't want to incur unnecessary complications. So these are some of the things you can do. Okay. The issue about the injection is that it's taken once every 3 months. Majority of the time when people use it, they may still get some menses, but the menses are a bit lighter than usual, right? So to a lot of people, actually they like it. So they don't have to waste money on pads. I can maybe go swimming more often. There are some advantages to it. About maybe 10% of women who use the injection, they may not get menses at all. It's okay. It's because of the medicine. Okay, it's not like the menses, all the blood is stuck in the womb, it's all dirty like that, it's not going to come out, then I become toxic. No, it's not like that, okay? If that's the case, why men don't have menses? No lah. So answer is no lah. Huh? So what is this? The issue about the injection is that if you are thinking about spacing and you really want to quickly get pregnant thereafter, sometimes it may take about 6 months when you stop the injection for your ovulation to return, up to 6 months average. Okay, so if you really want to plan spacing, you may want to stop the injection a bit earlier than your intended time to get pregnant. So there might be a slight delay in return of ovulation. Not all women, some women. Okay, so that's the main thing. I'd like to show the next slide. I think this will be easier to show on a video. So the implant insertion, I think, can be demonstrated here. Let's play the video first. to remove implant earlier than the 3 years, no problem at all. Let's say like 2 years, right? 2 years of breastfeeding is over. You are ready for your second pregnancy. We remove it for you at 2 years, 2 years mark. Okay. Should I continue? Yeah. I show one more, if you don't mind. This is the IUD. Let's play the video.
Levonorgestrel intrauterine device, or IUD, is a form of birth control that lasts 7 years and is more than 99% effective at preventing pregnancy. Placing the IUD may make you nervous, but a little understanding of the procedure should help you feel more at ease. If you are taking birth control as prescribed or have a negative pregnancy test, the device can be inserted at any time you'd like after a discussion with your provider. During the procedure, you will lay down on the exam table with both feet in stirrups. Your provider and a nurse will be in the room along with any other support person you'd like to bring along. First, a speculum is placed. Then, several cotton swabs are used to obtain cultures. An antiseptic solution will be applied. Then, your uterus is measured. Lastly, the IUD is inserted. Make sure you have someone to drive you home after the procedure and plan to rest the remainder of the day and night. Levonorgestrel intrauterine device is estrogen-free and releases a small amount of progestin into your uterus. It is also effective for treating heavy periods. After several months, 1 in 5 women have no periods at all. The IUD can easily be removed, and you will quickly return to fertility. It does not protect against HIV or sexually transmitted diseases. Common side effects of an IUD are pain, bleeding, and dizziness. There may also be irregular bleeding and mild cramping for 3 to 6 months. As your body adjusts, periods may become lighter and shorter, or even stop completely. Do not use tampons for 48 hours after the IUD is placed. After that, be careful not to pull on the IUD strings when removing tampons. You can check your IUD strings once a month if you choose. Call your provider if the strings are not present. After the IUD is placed, wait at least 48 hours before having sex. Contact your provider if you develop a discharge or odor or pain during sex. It is important to schedule a yearly visit with your provider to answer any questions you may have and discuss any changes to your health.
Is referring to the hormonal IUD. Okay, in Singapore, we recommend it to be used for 5 years. This mentioned 7 years, so 5 years. Of course, you can remove it anytime in that 5 years if you feel that you are now planning for another pregnancy. The effects of reducing the heavy menstrual bleeding only applies to the hormonal IUD, not the copper IUD. Okay, copper IUD doesn't have any change to your period. Some women who use the copper IUD can get a bit of heavier period. If that's the case, you may want to change the copper IUD to the hormonal IUD to settle your period. Okay, so the insertion itself is very, very safe and very easy, less than a minute also actually. Maybe I show one last video and then, okay. So for the couples who have completed having children, so you can do a procedure called tubal sterilization. So we call it permanent because the clips, once it's applied on the fallopian tube, it's not meant to be removed. It's meant to be there forever. The clips are made up of titanium. It's very, very tiny, about 4 millimeter. And we do this during a surgery, a keyhole surgery, right? So I'm just going to show female sterilization. Male sterilization, if the husband wants to do a vasectomy, right? That's a procedure where the vas deferens, the tube that connects from the testis out to the urethra, that tube called the vas, is cut and tied. So that's done by a urologist, a urology specialist. So the gynecologists don't do it. We get you referred to a urologist. Okay, so I'm just going to show the video. Yeah. Typically use a device called a Filshie clip. Okay, those tiny 2 clips there. So this is the one enlarged. It's about 4 millimeter. So what it does is it occludes the fallopian tube. So the tube gets shut. Sperms and eggs will no longer be able to meet to be fertilized. Okay, this is just the instrument that we use. Okay. So normally we do this at an interval. Let's say she's pregnant, she's delivered already. A few months later, she comes back to do this procedure. Okay, so it's a keyhole surgery. Typically, blood loss is very, very little, 0 mils. Okay, so 1 clip for 1 tube right, 1 tube, 1 on the left. Okay, just like that. Okay, or do this at the time of cesarean section, the last cesarean section that she has, right? We can do this at the same time because we have access to the fallopian tube. Okay, simple, safe, and effective. So you don't have to remove the clip after the surgery. The clip will be there in the body for the rest of your life. Will the clip drop off from the tube? Maybe, about 1 in 25. 1 in 25, it can drop off, but it will remain somewhere in the tummy. It doesn't cause any danger to the rest of your body. All right. So let's say you go through an airport scan, this X-ray metal detector, whatever, it's not going to be a problem. Okay. You go through X-rays, no issue. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. So this one, the last, this tubal sterilization is permanent lah. Is it?
So this idea of permanence, right? So if you're going to choose this procedure, you should be really, really certain that you really don't want to have any more children. Let's say I'm a 25-year-old person, I'm recently divorced, I have 3 kids, or I want to do sterilization, right? What makes you think that you might not meet another person somewhere down the line? You have a change of heart, change of mind. You want to be pregnant again next time, right? 25 years old is really, really young. The risk of regret doing a sterilization procedure when you're very, really young is higher, right? So if you're thinking, you saw the chart earlier, the efficacy between like IUD and implant and sterilizations, all these 3 are more than 99% effective, right? Why choose something that is permanent when there are alternatives which are safe, right? Which are effective, right? So there are options out there which we will counsel these patients for. Can you reverse a tubal sterilization? That means you do the clip already, then you change mind, I want to take out my clip, I want to get pregnant again, right? So after sterilization, the options of getting pregnant, there are 2. One is you do another surgery to remove the clip, rejoin back your tube. So this tubal reanastomosis surgery, right? This surgery itself is done by our fertility specialist. This is not without its risk, right? So will we be able to join the tubes successfully? That depends. Depends whether the tubes itself are already damaged because of underlying conditions like infections, and whether we have enough length of the fallopian tube. So every woman, the fallopian tubes on them are a little bit shorter. We might not have enough length to join back together. Okay, or you may have to consider, because now the tubes are already blocked, you have got to go through IVF. Right, IVF, you're bypassing the fallopian tube. You're collecting eggs from the woman, sperms from the man. You're going to do fertilization in the lab. Fertilization not occurring in the tube. So that's an alternative. So reversibility itself, permanence itself is subjective, right? But we still group under our permanent contraceptive option, because ideally you choose this without regrets, lah.
Without regrets is one thing lah. As what Ustaz mentioned earlier also, in Islam, if it is something permanent, it's not allowed also. Okay, so before we go on with the questions from the floor, I would like to ask this one last question to Ustaz. Not every marriage, not every couples practice open communication. We are still trying, going towards there, but there are still couples who who have difficulties on having this open communication. So about having children, how can you share with us, if there's any tips for the couples to bring up these matters? When to stop at 3, 2, or even 1, or is it okay? Really in Islam, is it okay if we do not want any children? Can you share on the tips on how to bring up these matters?
Thank you very much. This is more to the relationship thing between the husband and wife. The more you are open, and it is how the culture of the husband and the wife in terms of the communication. So if I strongly believe, if the couple they begin their journey in relationship, if their communication is open, it's a two-way, and they can make honest conversation between them, then it's easier. And as early as before getting married, you should ask your partner whether you want children early or you want plan first. This is all need to be discussed. It's important because I have cases also whereby after they got married and they quarrel over this thing. The husband don't want to have children first, while the wife she wants early, as soon as possible, and it leads to unnecessary conflicts between husband and wife. To me, no, there is no one size fits all. It all depends on how your arrangement, your culture between husband and wife, and begin with small things lah. And casual talk. Have a casual talk. How many children do you have? What kind of family you want? And what is your objective? What is our objective? Our goal in having children? With the kind of vision that we need to set first. So both couple, if they already have this vision together for 5 years or 10 years, and try to commit and try to stick to that vision. But at the end of the day, nothing lasts. We can change all. Flexible. It's not something yang you need to commit. Something yang sometimes under circumstances we need to review again our condition, maybe financial or maybe family matters or maybe education. We don't know that we cannot expect that. Actually, it's very tiring to bring up our one child, two children. These days, very tiring for the husband and wife. If they don't have financial capabilities, then you need to adjust your target lah, or your goal, or so called the vision. So how to bring up is very number one is be respectful lah to your partner and be open, have open communication, and be flexible in your objective. Not that we discussed this 10 years ago, habis tak tukar. Mesti boleh tukar lah. Every 5 years Presiden Singapore je tukar kan. So you can change your objective, your target, your goal can change, depends on your circumstances. So I think number one, the mentality from the husband and from the wife is always to have this flexibility lah. Flexibility and what's best for them. If the wife says like this, the husband should consider. If the husband say like this, he wants this, the wife also must consider. And if they cannot make any decision, right, they need to appoint third party to to make them think lah what's the best decision for them, a counselor or like Kadi or even the expert, seek advice from parents and so forth. So I think when we have a real conversation, honest conversation, open communication between husband and wife is easy. So that just one person wants to dictate everything in life. Even husband, if considered as ketua rumah tangga, cannot make decision in everything lah. A good leader must always in consultative or in consultation with the partner. This is not something a master slavery relationship, but this is a partnership, the husband and wife. Yeah.
MashaAllah, shukran Ustaz. Okay, I think hope that answers lah. So every communication is very important, Ustaz, in marriage. Okay, in whatever decisions that you want to make. Okay, so before moving on, for those who have questions, you can scan the QR code from the screen. But now I would like to open to the floor first. Okay, I would like to open to the floor. If anyone who wants to ask question? Siapa-siapa? Okay, can. Kejap. I give you the mic, sorry.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone. My name is Afiq. This one is more of a understanding. Just it's a curious question lah. Why is it that how did our community come to the mindset that that family planning is haram? As per the earlier video, right? Yeah, because we know, I think Ustaz you already addressed that, family planning is allowed, the fatwa is all there. But then at the start, how did it become haram in the thoughts of our community? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I think it's because of the sensitivity and something yang is not discussed widely in the public or in the society back then. And maybe the fatwa last time, the religious advice, the religious position that they got is anak kan rezeki. That is very strong element yang really embedded in their mind. Oh, anak rezeki, you cannot prevent. Ini semua takdir. Why you want to prevent anak? Why you want to prevent this rezeki and continuation of the human race lah? Yeah, maybe because they were not exposed back then. That there are hadiths yang just now I shared to you, yang don't impregnate your wife unless she gives consent. Maknanya kalau tak give consent, we can delay atau we can make spacing, kan? So family planning was there from the beginning. Maybe the society, especially the Malay, kan, we were more exposed on the hadith yang promoting children, kan. Rasulullah says, "Tazawwajul walud al-wadud." Okay, go get married with woman who has great fertility, kan. Because I will be proud later on in the hereafter. I will be proud of my community due to the large amount of my community lah. nak berbanyakkan umat aku, perbanyakkan Islam. So with that, I think it's because of that and less exposure from the other side of the fatwa that makes the society in Singapore specifically thinking that actually haram lah family planning. Wallahu alam, this is my observation. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
Okay, shukran Ustaz. Okay, so my Ustaz Alfa is over there. So if you have questions, you can just ask the mic from her. While waiting for that, I will ask this question to Doctor about IUD. So about IUD, right? How long are the threads? Do they interfere or get affected by penetration? Example, during the sexual intercourse, will the penis push the threads or tangle them? Because I also believe I watched this in the in one of the medical drama, then something happened lah.
So you saw the video just now. There's a little two-piece nylon thread. Is it nylon? Some plastic thread that hangs out of the cervix into the vagina. Okay, the length of that thread, we have to be careful in terms of cutting it, not cutting it too short. Right? Definitely, it will be hidden in the vagina, not sticking out of the vagina. I think that's crazy. Like that's too long. Women will not look it. Right? It will be inside, okay? And this thread is so thin, right? It shouldn't affect the feeling of intercourse. If you find that your partner is feeling some poking feeling during intercourse, that means the thread is just too long. We trim it for you, okay? We will trim it for you. We will make it shorter. The issue is, or rather, sometimes in the past, some doctors trim the thread so short, the thread coils into the cervix itself, the neck of the womb. Then the next time she comes for removal of the IUD, we look, where's the thread? Tak nampak. Cannot find because it's inside. You have to fish for the thread inside. Or sometimes still cannot find, you have to bring her to theater under anesthesia, then do this removal under anesthesia, right? So normally what I do, I will cut at least leave about 2 centimeter length in the vagina. So that's a long enough length that the husband shouldn't feel any issues during sex. The woman also wouldn't see it sticking out through the vagina, and during removal itself, it should be easy enough for us to do it in the clinic lah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Questions from the floor?
Hi, I have 2 questions. Following up on the IUD and the hormonal question.
What's your name?
Sorry, I'm Rajiv. So from the videos, the least scariest fit was the implant, and I'm assuming that's what my wife would agree on. But so I'm just curious, do you have any specific opinion or suggestions on choosing between them? Going with the implant would be like least. I mean, I saw the percentages in the comparison chart, but generally your thought. That's first question. Second is more around either medical research or Islamic ruling around the mental health of women, right? For unplanned pregnancies, when that happens. Are there instances in the past that we can learn from how they dealt with it, both from a woman's standpoint, but also like the baby standpoint? When the child grows up and is an unplanned pregnancy, right? What happens? So curious if there are like past literature that we can refer.
Okay, thanks, Rajiv. I think I can answer the first question. Maybe Ustaz can chip in with the second part. I think, like what we discussed earlier, the choice of contraception is usually a very personal choice, a very individualized choice. If you don't prefer to have an instrument in the womb, right? When the IUD is in the womb, do you feel anything? Actually, no lah. Most of the time, you don't even feel anything is inside there. You might feel a bit of, like what the video showed, a little of mild cramps for the first maybe a few weeks of insertion, but that usually is transient. It doesn't affect you in the sense that you have to take some painkillers every day, right? And it goes off with time. Right? And you can use it very long, for 5 years actually. So for women who have like an idea that I don't want things inside my womb, then go for the implant, right? It is an instrument that's very superficial underneath just the skin, okay? And you can feel it yourself. And the removal itself and the insertion itself can be done by a medically trained or nurse clinician and done very safely. Of course, if she prefers a longer lasting contraception, of course, the IUD is the one that lasts longer than the implant. So in terms of maybe cost effectiveness, with the IUD is slightly cheaper, maybe, right? So at the end of the day, you have to weigh all of these things, and then your wife, I guess, will make the final decision, yeah. Maybe Ustaz answer the second part.
Sorry, brother, can you rephrase again your second question? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I was just curious to know, because the fact that we didn't have much of these contraception back in the early days, and there will be unplanned pregnancies, right? I was just curious if there is any literature on how either the mother or the couple dealt with it from an emotional standpoint, and if there are like guidance that we can take from there and like apply in our lives.
Okay, as far as I know, there was no specific literature on that. We don't know whether they plan or they don't plan, and but after even after they pregnant and then they have children, they have difficulties in raising up the children. As long as they don't give up, like what Quran says, don't kill literally or don't kill emotionally or mental of that children. If you cannot bring up that children, you have options of giving to other people for adoption, like fostering. That with that said, the well-being of the children is always must be taken care of. So there are a lot of literatures outside there whereby if the parents cannot really bearing that responsibility, they always have choice. They are not directly bringing up the children. They can give to other people, like what the old days in the Malay tradition kampung, they give anak angkat. So anak angkat, like the Chinese. Last time the Chinese they stop at 2. Not the national one lah. They do want a lot of children, or they will give some to the Malay. That's why banyak a lot of adopted children they will give to the family Malay families, because they believe that Malay families, they are capable of bringing up a lot of children. So Chinese always kasih anak angkat, the adopted son, the children to the Chinese children adopted by Malay families. Yeah. So I think that is the case. I think that answers your question. Not sure during Prophet's time how during the Covenant's time. They also have this kind of changing, this kind of practice whereby they will give to their companions to raise their children, but I'm not sure whether because of their condition poverty, or they just they want to give as a gift for the childless couples, or so forth.
Maybe I can chip in a little bit with this. Remember we said 50% of pregnancies in the developed countries are actually unplanned, right? Okay, not all of this will be unwanted, some will be wanted. Yeah. So I think the circumstances will vary for every couple, right? Every couple has got they're at different stages in life, in terms of career, in terms of housing, in terms of number of children they already have, and number of children they plan to have further, and what they can afford. So what happens to the child, I don't think we can generalize, right? So that depends on what the couple. So it may be an unwanted pregnancy at first, but can become a wanted pregnancy later. And the child can grow up, in various ways, right? I don't think there's a one ruler fits all kind of thing. There are also a lot of these couples who have been trying for pregnancy, but they haven't been successful because rizki comes to them in different ways, right? And there are also and a lot of this. Just because this child is not biologically yours does not mean that you cannot be a good parent as well. So we also have seen a lot of nice, beautiful stories about adoption, adopted child having, very nice family, and then they grow as though it's their own biological child. The love that they get from the parents, immense, tremendously immense, and we've seen nice stories like that as well. But I don't think I have literature per se to answer your question. Yeah, more anecdotes. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. and Ustaz. For those who have questions, you can keep on scanning the QR code and answer that, because mashallah, Dr. Susanna and Dr. Ashraf is also attending to the questions in Padlet. Okay, so before I move on to the floor, I would like to ask Ustaz this question. Okay, Ustaz, it was mentioned just now that abortion can be permissible for health reasons. It is for the benefit of the woman's health. If it is for the benefit of the woman's mental health, can the decision to abort a pregnancy be valid? And also adding to that, is the emergency pill considered abortion, and what's the hukum for it?
Yeah, thank you. Very good question and a relevant one. Talking about when we talk about health, we cannot just confine to physical health. There are mental health because human being consists of mental, emotional, physical. So traditionally, when the scholars discuss about when we talk about health reasons always confined to physical health. But lately, the mental health, the mental component already being acknowledged by almost all. Not, yeah lah, some societies they don't accept this uh, as a problem, as a health problem. That's why MC pun tak semua in Singapore we can. Why you take MC? Where is the aku sakit depression? Nobody will believe you unless you are properly diagnosed and have certification from the expert. And having said that, again, mental health is something acknowledged in Islam. That is one of the illnesses in human being. So if you are going for on depression, no anxiety, and after you do check up with doctor and the doctor certify you, yes, you are diagnosed with this condition, then it is considered as valid reason for you to do abortion. It's very sad, but this is something yang acceptable in Islam. And kita kena tengok juga kan, we need to verify and we need to justify our decision, not just I'm really having depression tapi bila do check up, nothing, it's just it's a mild. So we have levels of depression, levels of illness kan, ada mild, ada moderate, ada severe. Kalau severe in terms of if I now I'm pregnant and then my mind, my mental makin teruk, emotional makin teruk, and I want to to the point that I have this tendency to kill myself, ada suicidal thoughts, and there is something severe, so you need to take that into consideration. So that is something you can do that, you can do abortion, but hopefully tak berlaku lah. And second question, the emergency pill kan? Emergency pill, if I'm not mistaken, must do after concept.
So in the emergency pill, it is done or it is taken as soon as possible from the time of intercourse when she realizes that she hasn't used contraception and she might get pregnant lah. So normally it's taken in the first 72 hours, 3 days, right? 72 hours. There are two different forms of the pill. There's one other version you can take in the first 5 days from the time of sexual intercourse. Or from the time of ovulation, either one, whichever is earlier. Basically, the sooner she takes it, the better it is. So during this time, usually fertilization hasn't happened yet, usually. So it is not abortion because you don't have an embryo yet, okay? But if you have to resort to using contraceptive pill, right? Clearly you are not planning to become pregnant, right? Why aren't you using any other contraception? Right? So you may use it for that particular time. Okay, medically speaking, you may use it for that particular time because you want to prevent yourself an unwanted pregnancy at that point in time. So emergency contraception. But think longer term, right? After this, what are you going to do? You cannot just rely on emergency contraception for every time you have sex. That's just wrong lah. Okay, so you will then should plan what is the next step for me. What kind of contraception should I be using that's safe for me, that's effective for me, that I will prevent myself from having to go and see a doctor for emergency contraception again and again, right? Just like a story about the abortion girl. This one, emergency contraception, you shouldn't be like every time having sex, I need to use emergency contraception. That's not effective contraception. Okay?
Yeah, whatever I shared just now, the important thing is before making decision, we have to do due diligence. And after consulting a lot of people, not just your parents, not just your spouse, but your counselor, the therapist, the psychiatrist, and you have to think the consequences lah. Whether want to continue with this pregnancy or not, and what level of depression you are having. If after all that things or information you gathered, then you can make decision. Hopefully that is the best one for you. Sure.
Okay, question from the floor? Anyone? No one?
So far we've heard questions from the guys, the girls. Don't be shy.
Yeah, okay lah. I think I'll just continue first lah. If you have, you just raise up your hand, okay? Or just let our Fat know. Okay, so maybe I'll, because most of the questions are being answered already. So maybe this one is about contraceptive injection. So this individual asked, I've been using the injection for close to 10 years. There has been no side effects except that I do not get menses or even spotting. So can I continue with the injections? I've been getting mixed answers at polyclinics, as some doctors suggesting for me to change, while some say it's okay to continue. So what's your opinion on this?
I think it is not an issue. If it's been effective for you and if worked well for you, I think it's okay. That also, the next question is, how old are you? Are you like 50 already? If you are, then you can actually stop using contraception. Okay, we recommend the use of contraception up till the age of menopause or around 50. 50 is the average age for menopause. Okay, so sometimes you may not be having periods, maybe because you're actually in menopause, right? So you might want to stop the injections at that point in time, and because you don't need it anymore, lah. Yeah. Will there be issues to your bones? Not from the Depo-Provera, right, Ashraf? Osteoporosis, Depo-Provera, no, no, right? That's Lucrin, right? Yeah. So this injection itself is okay. The no menses thing is a known effect of the meds of the injection. But if you feel like okay, it's really been a long time, you want to change to something else, there are alternatives like what we discussed earlier, like the IUD, the copper IUD. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, okay, next question I would like, I mean, there's few questions about asking again about not wanting to have children. So maybe Ustaz can answer that.
Okay. Yeah, good question. So what if a couple want to get married and then don't want to have any children? I don't know whether permanently or temporarily. If temporary, of course can lah. As long as as long as the reason is valid. Like for example, I want just companionship lah, and I'm starting my new job. You know, I want to settle down first. That's totally okay. But you miss the opportunity to have children. But in Islam, there are bigger objectives. Marriage has a lot of objectives, not just to make you halal, not just halalize that relationship, but it's actually for the bigger picture. It's for the human race, the continuation of the human race, especially Islam lah. And we want to contribute in terms of good children, good quality Muslim children, and want to make our Prophet Muhammad proud. And in continuation of the amal soleh, the pahala, after we die, hey, the pahala will stop unless if you have good children, pious children, or righteous children, will continue to pay now, to transfer their deeds to us while we are in the graveyard. So that is the akhirah investment. Okay, if we know that, and then we still want to continue to have a childless couple, then you may do so, because one of the objective of marriage is just to halalize the relationship. Then it's okay. If you don't want to have children from the beginning, also okay. But you need to be caution lah, not to make it as a permanent. Takut it seem like family planning permanently. We plan to, if you plan to have a family planning permanently, that is something yang some scholars say cannot lah without ada proper reason. Tak ada health reasons ke financial reasons, just you want you want freedom. I don't want to raise children, because I'm afraid I look around, the parents were stressful. Yeah, that's the business lah you are in. You want to get married, this is the business. You need to make commitment to bear children and so forth. Allah.
Maybe just a little bit on that not wanting to have children thing. The temporary part, right? Let's say you don't want to have children temporarily because you're trying to sort out certain things. May we also just suggest that the best time to have children is when you're young, right? When you're young and healthy. So yeah, you want to delay having children because you want to sort out, your financial, your housing, whatever. but also don't wait too long or don't delay too long, because your fertility, you can never get it back, right? Once it's gone. All right. So fertility, as you know, as you grow older and older, your age is never going to come down. Like your age is always going to go up, right? So same for fertility, right? Past a certain age, especially for the females, you hit like late 30s, 37, 38, 39. The fertility rate is a sharp decline. It's not that you will never get pregnant at 37, 38, 39, but the fertility becomes lower. It means that getting pregnant can become a bit harder, right? So yes, we say contraception, yes, we say family planning, but also at the same time, if you're thinking about having children, don't delay for too long, lah. Okay.
Yes, I think that's very true, doctor. My first pregnancy was when I was 25, but my last pregnancy is 10 years later. Wow, the energy level, really, you have to like struggle a bit. Okay, so I think to sum up today's talk, maybe just one or two advices or tips for the couples out there regarding this family planning. Can you start with Saz?
I start first.
Maybe you can just show my slides, the last one. I have actually, there's a small quote there. Go and scan it. Go and take the slides for yourselves. My slides are free. Go and read. I've shown some operative videos, pictures in the last week that we did in the ones that I was involved in. Basically, family planning is an individualized choice. You really have to choose and pick one that I think suits you the most. Okay, it may not be the first time already lucky, everything is okay, right? You might not like it the first one. You have to change your options. So what I want to at least encourage here is this: you are now aware of what options you have, what you can choose, what you think is more suitable to you, where the resources that you can look up in terms of finding out more, and where to go if you want to arrange for such things to be done for yourself. It's safe. It's absolutely safe. And speak to the right people, right? At the end of the day, you think about all the unwanted, unnecessary consequences of not planning in the first place. You end up with unplanned pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies, and you have to deal with extremely difficult decisions like termination of pregnancy. So I think we want to steer clear of that. We want to do things rightly or safely, and I think these are providing you resources to think through again, inshallah.
Okay, Bismillah. So my last advice or just sharing lah. To me, children is a gift. Children is something that for our akhirah investment as a Muslim. We need to be balanced between, we always talk about self-care, right? Self-care is very important and acknowledged in Islam. There is self-care. Even Prophet ﷺ has his own mean time. When Aisha radiallahu anha, she was asked, how was the Prophet, how is he managed his time at home? So Aisha said, oh yeah, he divided into 3 parts of his time. The first part, ibadah, worship to Allah SWT in his confinement. Number 2, second part, he will be with his family, at his service of his family. Number 3, he will be by his own self. So doing whatever the man generally do or does. That time lah. So kalau this time ada game, Netflix. Last time the Prophet ﷺ, they did sewing, jahit and everything, and meeting his friends. But wherever it is, we don't go into very excessively about self-care, because Islam also urges us to be selfless. There is sacrifice. So when we got married, we cannot assume that our life will be the same like before marriage. When you tie the knot, and then both of you are agreed upon, then alhamdulillah lah, you don't want to have children. But at one point of time, if your partner suddenly say, I feel lonely muak dengan you, because every time tengok muka you, I want children lah also kan. Okay, then from that time you kena change your perspective. Then children is something bukan for your for your old age investment. Oh, later on my children will take care of me. Dah tak boleh fikir tu dulunya cara. Tapi dah besar, when they grow up, they can take care of us. Actually dah tak boleh fikir gitu, nanti kita upset. At the end of the day, nanti lama-lama pergi sebelah juga nursing home. So you cannot accept, we cannot prepare that, because they are, that time different lah. Kita punya time je dah juggling between roles nak jaga, nak caregiving our elderly parents susah, what more nanti during my children's time. So I don't want to have mindset, nanti dah besar you jaga me. It's okay lah. I can jaga myself. Wallahu alam, I don't know how the future holds. But having children, as I can say, you need to be selfless. Okay, you take care of your own self. Okay, I want to have me time, go self care. Okay, you go overseas. My husband already give me permission. Go. Tapi you need to be selfless too. Meaning you need to commit and to attend the needs of your children. If you are married, the first thing after you get married, you need to attend to your wife's or your husband's needs. Sometimes at the expense of your own needs, you need to sacrifice. That is the commitment that what I understand. That is sacrifice that what I understand. Not just we too over glorifying self, and we become, sebab tu dalam Quran pun cerita afara'aita man ittakhadha ilahu hawa. You glorify yourself to the extent that biarlah anak aku terabai, biarlah whatever people want to say. I need to pamper myself. To the extent that you don't care about what other people feel pun salah juga. So you need to find balance between that. So when you have children, you prepare to to sacrifice your part of yourself to attend to the other self. Allah, that's what I see lah. Tapi ni carahan lain lah. I don't know. This is something yang really make me contemplate, make me reflect very hard lah about this self-care and selfless, Wallahu alam.
That one for another day lah, Ustaz. Inshallah. So, thank you so much, Doctor and Ustaz. I personally learned a lot today. I mean, although we decided to stop at 3, but I didn't I didn't use this contraceptive because of the fear of having foreign things in my body. So I really hope also that all of you here and at home benefit from this talk, inshallah. So for next week will be our last episodes of this talk show. So I really want all of you to register for this talk show. The last episode, which is about postnatal life. I mean, like after giving birth, what are the things that you should know, and also what must husbands know about postnatal, and it is very important topic for you guys to learn about lah. So inshallah we will have Dr. Susanna, Dr. Adila, and also Ustaz Muhammad Nazi with us for next week. So for those who haven't registered, please do so. This will be our last episodes of Saturday with Arif with Majlis Istighfar. Okay. And I'd like also to thank Dr. Fairuz have been with us for 2 weeks for our topic. And I'd like to also thank Dr. Susanna, Dr. Ashraf for responding to the questions in the Padlet also. Okay, moving on, I would like to invite Project Arif to talk, to tell us what is actually Project Arif is all about. Fadal.
Yeah. Thank you, Ustazah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Zakia. I'm one of the here. Here, boleh? Can? Okay. I'm one of the medical social workers here in this room. My colleagues are Siti and also Abida. Okay. Project Arif. You can get more information from www.projectarif.sg. Yes. Okay. So in a nutshell, I don't want to take up a lot of time. So in a nutshell, Project Arif is a project. It's not a program yet because we're testing it. We're testing this project where we would like to. The hypothesis is do intervention ataupun program targeted to newlywed couples, helpful or impactful for the benefit of the family in terms of their health as well as the aspiration for excellence, inshallah. So that's our hypothesis. So that's why it's a program, and we would like to see how impactful it is lah. So this program has been in the running since 2020, so like about 3 years. Alhamdulillah, we have a few Naib Qadis who have been working with us. So if you are married after 2020, And some of your hostess or Kadis are part of the Project ARIF program. They would have introduced you lah about this Project ARIF, and you'll be in the program lah. But if you're not, it's okay. You can still sign up for the program. At the moment, do we have any other slides? Ada slides tak ada? Is there a slides again after this? Tak ada. Okay, tak apa. Okay, some of the flagship program that Project ARIF offer is really support for new parents, especially. So it is a program. It's a joint program between KKH, MUIS, and EMP. Some of the flagship programs that we offer is casework management, because the MSWs are here to adult together with you lah. Because as you journey your marriagehood, right? There's so many adulting to do. There's so many decisions to do. There's so many changes that you're experiencing. So having someone via text, because you usually communicate via text. So having someone whom you can just ask questions about anything, it may help lah in your journey. So other things that we offer is Health Meet. Health Meet is a program that is specifically for Project ARIF couple. It is a half an hour session where you and your spouse can meet up with a medical social worker and a doctor, and you can ask anything regarding health, regarding relationship. Yeah, it is. It's just a four of us lah. Yeah, where you can ask about. So far, some of the popular questions that we've been getting is about how to have children. We do have some couples who are not yet married come to us also asking about reproductive health. Yeah, so that has been beneficial for the couple so that they can do preparation before they solemnize.
So if I can chip in for that, so health meet, I've been personally involved in a few health meets myself. So this it's obviously confidential, right? Whatever we discuss it's only amongst all of us. Right? So the husband and the wife, or the husband to be and the wife to be, and maybe Zakia and myself. Okay, and because it's so intimate, it's so personalized. You get to speak to a doctor with a lot of time. 30 minutes is a long time compared to, let's say, your regular clinics, right? You are rushed for time, you need to go somewhere, or your doctor has to see other patients. So we see the benefit in that. With the couple, see the benefit in terms of asking things which they have been keeping to themselves, and finally getting a health professional to address those questions. It can be very intimate questions, sexual health questions, reproductive questions, fertility questions, questions about their babies, even nitty-gritty things like, oh, my baby has this rash. This is how many days already? We have gynaes, like myself, Dr. Susanna, who's our head of department. Dr. Dilshad. Dr. Dilshad is not here today. She's also another gynae with us. And Dr. Adila. Dr. Adila is a pediatrician, so she's a consultant pediatrician. So she will do her best to address all of the baby questions that these couples have.
Yes, you're right. Thank you, Dr. Fairuz. Yeah, so we have a gynecologist and pediatrician working in our team. So that is Health Meet. For those who are pregnant, we have lactation consultation that's happening every 2 Tuesdays a month, where you and your partner, if you're pregnant or nearing delivery, you can meet up with a certified lactation nurse to understand, to learn about breastfeeding. So usually this is done in masjid. At the moment we're doing it at Nur, Masjid Shafa'ah, as well as insyaAllah Masjid Al-Ghufran, to cater to the Eastern people. Yeah. Okay. Yes, insyaAllah. So we're in the talks. What else? Okay, so that's lactation consultation. So after you deliver, usually MSW together with the pediatric nurse and a lactation consultant will come visit you at your place, at your home, to see how you're coping. Usually during that time, you're sleep deprived lah, you're not, moody lah, because dealing with babies can be quite tough, especially this is a huge change in your life. So here we are there, inshallah, to answer your questions, to give you the moral support that you can do this. You can do this. Yes. What else? What other programs do we have? Oh yes, of course. Oh yes. If you, we are also currently undergoing. We are also doing research. Yes, research to understand support for newlywed, support for new parents. Yes. So if you are currently pregnant, or you have children under 2 years old, please come and register with us and allow us to understand you better, to understand your experience better. So hopefully, inshallah, your experience may help contribute to the larger knowledge about being parents in Singapore, being Muslim parents in Singapore, inshallah. Yeah, I think that's about it. So please feel free to scan the code to get to our website and register, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Zakia. Okay, I would like to ask a little bit of your time for you to give us feedback. Slide. Okay. Okay, so please scan the QR code and leave us your feedback so that we know what can we improve for our future talk. Thank you so much. So we would like to hear what your feedback. Okay, while doing that, I would like also to promote next week will be our final talk on the 15th of July on the postnatal what husbands should know. And the following week, which is also on Saturday, on 22nd July, we have family fest, family book fest to commemorate the Awal Muharram. I mean, like the new year of in Islamic calendar. So we have program from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, we will start the program with Marhaban Muslimah. Then we also have Azan competition for kids and for the teens. We also have a session with book author, which is Ustaz Yusri on his book Warna-Warni Kehidupan, and also by Ustazah Liana Musfira on her current book, Dear Broken Soul. This is a new book distributed by her. We also have a game show for family, which I'm not sure you know the Family Fit, but this is Islamic version. So you can register with your family members. We also have Akil Baligh Talk, things you should know before your children reach puberty, by Ustaz Yusri and also Sis Marina Yusof. Okay, and during the event also we have concurrent courses on madrasah entrance test, preparatory talk for parents. We also have storytelling, knowing Muslim heroes for the kids. We have end times talk by Ustaz Zuhail, and we have Qasida workshop also for the kids by Miftahul Qulub. So for this course, the kids will learn how to play the Islamic instruments. Okay, and we will end our program after Maghrib by by a talk from Ustaz Dr. Izal Mustafa Kamar, our Timbalan Mufti, with a mini forum called Di Sebalik Perintah Iqra' dalam Al-Quran. So help yourself with the flyers from the registration table. Okay, so we would like also to invite you to join our Instagram at Media Istighfar and also at the Ladies Minaret. So these are the the programs. I mean, like we always update what's going on in the mosque via these two IGs. Okay, and the last thing, if let's say you have any questions regarding anything about our religion, please feel free to meet us via this clinic Tanya Asatiza. You can simply scan the QR code, or you can book your slot at this link. bit.ly/clinic Tanya Asatiza. Okay, currently our slots are only on weekdays during the office hours. It can be via online call, via Zoom, or you can come down at Al-Istighfar Mosque. Okay, and lastly, again, we are very sorry for the late refreshment. We already have it packed for you outside, so please help yourself on your way out. Okay, so anything else, team? No? So with that, we thank you again for your time spent with us this Saturday morning. I really hope to see you again next week for our final talk, inshallah. So with that, we end this session with Tasbih Kafara and Surah Al-Asr. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus solihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bil haqq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. You can feel free to drop by our booth attended by Dr. Ashraf.